phone call I was on with a guy who was talking my ear off back in 2022. Another one of those like shiver up the spines, because this was after I'd read the Abbott piece. I was onto this with Steve Bannon. And this dude was listing off a whole bunch of things, and he starts talking about this guy, Brock, Mighty Ducks Brock guy.
No.
Brock Pierce is worth a fuck ton of money, made it. He was a Mighty Ducks actor. Ends up, I'm going to really shorten this up for people, but he ends up in a partnership business-wise with this guy who ends up having these parties out in Hollywood where the guy is raping boys, underage boys.
My God.
And that ends up coming out, and then they all flee to Spain. That guy ends up getting arrested. I think he stands trial or makes a deal or something, and then eventually gets permission to leave the country for some sort of surgery and never comes back and gets a new name. So Brock ends up founding in 2001. Now I'm going right off Wikipedia, people. He founded Internet Gaming Entertainment, a company that pioneered the MMORPG currency selling services industry. Between 2004 and 2005, IGE spent more than $25 million buying out 7 smaller competitors, including 4 auction platforms and many fan and content sites. In 2005, Pierce estimated that IGE accounted for about 50% of this online market in the US, which has about $500 million in annual volume. Pierce brought in Steve Bannon, formerly of Goldman Sachs and Breitbart News, to seek venture capital, and a deal was made in February 2006, yielding $60 million, of which Pierce took away $20 million for a minority stake. The next year, the company faced a class action lawsuit with no assets. The company failed, and Pierce was conveniently forced out. In February 2026, an investigation by the Kyiv Independent in newly released U.S. Department of Justice documents on Jeffrey Epstein reported that the files included an email in which a man identified as Pierce, described as a co-founder of Tether, told Epstein that a boat in Antigua full of amazing Ukraine's finest was waiting for him. A separate analysis of the same document released by the crypto news outlet Protos stated that in 2012, after Epstein asked Pierce to take photos and find me a present during a trip to Moscow, Kyiv, and Odessa, which is where they would source a lot of underage women and traffic them, by the way, Pierce emailed Epstein's dozens of photographs of a Ukrainian woman named Anastasia and closed the message by writing that Ukraine is now my favorite country. And in another email, he invited Epstein to join him on a boat in Antigua, once again full of Ukraine's finest. And just conveniently, this guy, before he even blows up, he was a Mighty Ducks actor, before he blows up as a businessman, and before, like, this person I was on the phone with also told me about his Jeffrey Epstein connections as well.